If you've ever gotten a 10-3 barrel but realized you needed a little bit more length, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Guys, like and comment. The comment section is utterly and completely out of control, and I love it. Get in there and find out why it's the most important part of this channel and why YouTube consistently tries to ban me for your actions. Shit rolls uphill, gentlemen. If you're looking to support the channel, the biggest support of the channel right now is Big Daddy Unlimited. Big Daddy Unlimited is like the Costco of the gun world. You have to buy a subscription, but then you get gun parts at super cheap prices. Highly recommended. First month is 99 cents with the link below through Garand and all that good stuff, and it really helps me out. If you want sick ammunition or sick bags and shirts and all that cool Gucci gear, you have LAX Ammunition and Vertex, both with discount code Garand. Go ahead and get in there and get whatever you guys need. Ladies, gentlemen, and of course my much forgotten lever action rifles, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a concept that I've wanted to detail for a long time, and that is a 13-7 build for an AR, what I like to call the do-it-all rifle. There's a lot to be said against and for these types of builds, but we're going to talk about why it's one of my favorite barrel lengths for a variety of reasons, and we're also going to talk about the company who built it for me, which is Sons of Liberty Gunworks. So this is kind of going to be a two-parter video, both talking about the barrel length and why I think it works, and also about the company itself. So before we get into 13-7, let's talk a little bit about Sons of Liberty Gunworks, and some thank yous are in order, because if you don't know, they've let me use their facilities for the last 4 months while I've been on TDY. I think I've mentioned it a couple times here, but they've kept the channel going when I've been in a very difficult spot and location for training, and so we can't thank them enough for all the help that they've given us. So big thank you to Sons of Liberty Gunworks. They're great dudes. They've got anywhere from angry people to angry Australians working for them.
It's a fucking upside down AKM.
To disgruntled dudes. I'm just kidding. They're great guys. They shoot quite a bit. They're excellent shooters, and they're very competent smiths and armorers. Highly recommend that you guys check them out if you're looking for an AR build, kind of like the one I'm doing right here. So when it comes to a 13-7 build, it's important that you go to a reputable manufacturer. Now, there aren't a whole lot of different companies that are building 13-7 guns from the ground up, and it's for that reason that we're going to be talking about Sons of Liberty Gunworks, because they do build a 13-7 right out the gate for you, unlike companies like BCM. Even though I do love the 14.5s, I think they're excellent guns, I think there's a lot to be said about the 13-7. So, just like we do in every other video, we're going to go tip to butt, and we're going to talk about how I have this 13-7 set up, what it feels like, why I like this particular one, and maybe some things you want to look at when you're doing a 13-7 build. Now, getting into it, the 13-7 build was first mentioned to me by Lucas from T-Rex Arms. If you don't know him, he's a great guy. He runs a great channel. He's put out some super sick videos right now. But he ran a 13-7, and I said, Lucas, why 13-7 instead of 14.5 mid-length? What has possessed your soul to do such a thing? And it was a very simple answer from him, and that was that the 13-7 allowed you to go as short as you can on a barrel and then attach a muzzle device permanently, and that puts you to the overall length that's legal in the United States. So unfortunately, for something to be considered a rifle and to not have to deal with SBR laws or make it into a pistol or what have you, you have to have the barrel length at least 16 inches. So with 13-7, with most muzzle devices like the Nox from Sons of Liberty Gunworks or a Surefire or something like that, and if you permanently attach it, pin and weld, then you get a little bit over 16 inches overall length. Now, why this matters is a 14.5, when you attach that muzzle device, it's well over 16. So the 13-7 puts you right at that. It gets you as short as you can go with the gun without going into SBR territory. So that's kind of the cool thing about the 13-7. So let's go ahead and let's go through this. We'll talk more about ballistics and all that stuff, getting into it. But starting off, we've got the, starting tip to butt like we always do, we have the Nox. So the Nox is from Sons of Liberty Gunworks, and it is their muzzle device that is installed in many other rifles. You can, of course, choose any muzzle device you want from Sons of Liberty Gunworks. They'll do whatever you want, most things. And so it's kind of an interesting design. So it mounts dead air suppressors, which I'm a big fan of, by the way. I'm going to be doing more with them in the future. But if you look at the top here, it's kind of hard for you to see, but there are ports on both the top and also the right. This gives you the perfect amount of compensation to help keep the rifle balanced. Now, I will be very clear on this. With a bare rifle, I mean, no light, no IR laser and all that. If it's just bare rifle, this muzzle device tends to overdrive the rifle a little bit. However, with a PEC and a light and all that kind of stuff, it seems to be the perfect amount of compensation. And I'm not sure why that works. I feel like it should work the opposite way. But it balances incredibly well when all this stuff is put together. And especially on full auto. So this particular weapon is full fucking auto, which is awesome. And that's great. Ready? Toot toot. Okay. So anyhow, on full auto, when you fire this thing, it tends to just hover into place. And that's due to many factors, not just the muzzle device. But I want to be clear and say that the muzzle device definitely helps. So it gives you a good amount of compensation as well as a good amount of flash suppression due to the three-pronged design. Also, you don't get that annoying ring that you get with many of the three-pronged flash hiders that you see out there, and that's due to kind of the asymmetric nature of the inside of the grating. So it does a great job of kind of doing both. Of course, you can't, have an amazing flash suppressor and an amazing compensator because they're kind of counterintuitive and they're kind of counter to how they both work. But despite all that, it is an excellent muzzle device. Now this particular one is pin and welded to bring the overall length of this barrel to 16 inches. That makes this about as short as you can go for a rifle without going to SPR territory. So we have the Nox right there, and I chose to use that because I wanted to give it more of a shot than I did from the first review that I did on Sons of Liberty Gunworks. Another quick note was my relationship with them. They've hooked me up with the facility, rifles, all that kind of stuff. My bias, probably a little bit, but I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible going into this, just like I always am. So again, it's not like a heavy contour, it's not a light contour, and I do love the light contoured barrels, like the enhanced lightweight barrels from BCM. But that being said, I really like kind of this medium contour barrel that comes from Sons of Liberty. I'm saving weight, but at the same time, I have enough material that when I'm shooting this thing long range, I'm not getting this barrel too hot, too fast to the point where I'm getting crazy heat mirage and crazy amount of shift in where my rounds are impacting. So it's about at that good happy medium for me for a good do-it-all rifle. And I think that's what the 13.7 is for me. The 13.7 is short enough to be more maneuverable than a 14.5, a bit longer than a 12.5 and 11.5, of course, but it's kind of in that sweet zone where it can reach out quite far. I'm able to push this thing out to 400 yards fairly easily, and at the same time, it's short enough where I can maneuver around objects and kind of do some more of that LARPing and CQC type shooting, close quarters, combat type shooting, all that type of shit. So it seems to work pretty well. Now, what comes along with the barrel too is the types of processes that they use to protect it and coat it. They use a QPQ on theirs, otherwise known as melanite. Of course, that's a trademark name. But in any case, the barrel is superbly accurate. I pushed this thing up to 400 and was putting rounds onto a plate in a nice little hand size, more than I could ever ask for from any type of gun. Now, for the 400 round shots, for the 400 yard shots, I was using 77 grain ammunition. 55 grain was not really cutting it. We had a little bit of crosswind. Something to make note of, and something that Lucas learned at the last Memorial 3-gun match. So remember, heavier bullets when you have a crosswind, that's going to help you out quite a bit. We also, from a 14.5, we have a minimal loss in velocity going to 13.7. So I know that's kind of the big thing. Every time you cut down a barrel, you lose velocity, right? And 5.56 is very dependent on velocity. Now, there are excellent rounds out there like the Mark 262 and Brown Tip and all that other stuff right now that's really pushing the ability of short-barreled rifles to be terminally effective. That being said, if I can have a barrel that pushes rounds faster without having to resort to the ammunition, that's kind of nice. Or that ammunition is going to perform better. So these are things that I like about having a slightly longer barrel. So you have a minimal loss from the 14.5 and definitely more velocity from like an 11.5 or especially a 10.3. So it's at that happy medium again where I can still push out and have a little bit of oomph when I'm pushing out to those further distances. A big thing that goes into barrels too is not just twist rate and all that kind of stuff is 1.7, but also gas port sizes. I've talked about this quite a bit. Gas port sizes matter quite a bit. So I'm looking at you, Daniel Defense. You guys have had problems with this. Well, not problems. I understand why you might want to have a larger gas port, but a properly gassed AR-15 is just a sight to behold. Many companies do it really well. Sons of Liberty Gunworks, Triarch, Bravo Company have very well gassed guns. I will say that Triarch and Sons of Liberty Gunworks, both of which are based out of Texas. Way to go, Texas. I mean, your state's hot as shit, but at least you make good ARs. Are superbly balanced and well gassed. And the Sons of Liberty Gunworks is no slouch when it comes down to that, because when they build these rifles, and they build all their rifles in-house, they work the whole system together. They're running the Volter A5 all the way up to the gas block and the size of the gas port to ensure that this is working at a area where it is reliable, but at the same time isn't pushing you around and is at that good kind of bleeding edge right there. And I really appreciate that they did that. Now, another problem that you run into with a gas port sizes is going to be suppression. With the Daniel Defense, because the gas ports were so oversized, when you suppress those bitches, you just got a ton of gas blowback. So a smaller gas port really makes a difference when it comes to that. So mounting a suppressor to this, I'm not getting a shit ton of gas kicked back in my face, and that works very well for me, because when you get gas kicked back in your face, makes your eyes water, you start crying in front of your bros, very sad, you have to explain yourself. You watch the end of Saving Private Ryan, and it's kind of hard to recover from that. So you don't want that happening. So gas port sizes definitely matter. Now, moving from the gas block and the gas port, barrel, all that, well made, let's move to the rail. So I've talked about the Sons of Liberty Gunworks rails before. So this is the M76 from Sons of Liberty Gunworks. A couple things about this. First off, in my OCD mind, I like to have M-LOK at all possible surfaces on these rails. Now at the same time, I understand by not having M-LOK, you're able to get the rail smaller, also do weight saving. So I can appreciate that. And not only that, but at the forward portions, at the 130 and at the 1030 locations on these rails, we have M-LOK slots right up there. Now we don't have it further back, but right up where you typically mount a light. And I'm gonna be honest, even on my BCM rifles, at those odd locations, I rarely ever mount something there. It's just something that I like because I think it looks aesthetic as f. But that being said, it's not really necessary, and you get a lot of weight savings by not having that M-LOK there because you don't have as much material. Therefore, it's working well. As far as the strength of the rail is concerned, it's a very strong rail. I have no qualms using it. I have had no loss of zero when it comes to the IR laser illuminator that I'm using here. So I'm very confident in its ability to work. A big thing is the barrel nut, right? So what type of barrel nut is used? So they use a steel barrel nut. However, you can also upgrade to a titanium, which will also cost a little bit more. It is a wedge lock, which is an extremely robust design. So I'm happy with both those decisions, and I definitely like the rail. I like the looks of other rails a little bit more, to be honest with you, but this rail is all function all day, and there's something to be said about form following function. So it is a well-built rail. I'm very happy with it. And the weight and how it dissipates heat. Because it's so open, it allows that barrel to cool down very quickly. That's pretty awesome. That's exactly what you want from a handguard, and I couldn't ask for anything more. On this particular rifle, we've got the Magpul M-Bus Pro sights. I don't really care much for iron sights. I don't really honestly use them that much. I don't really use backup irons at all anymore because I have so many sighting options, but they are there. Okay, moving back to the upper and lower receivers. Now, as far as the upper and lower 70-75, this is a Loyal 9 lower receiver, so it has Loyal 9 marking, pretty minimalistic. And then on the reverse side, it has a little police shield right there. A little shout out to our boys over in blue over there. So I kind of like that they did that. It's very clean. It all matches up very well. It's a very professional looking finish. No qualms when it comes to the upper and lower receivers. Again, when it comes to the upper and lowers, a well-made one, you're just kind of like, cool, upper and lower receiver. But a badly made one, you're like, shit, that does not look good at all. So you can definitely appreciate good craftsmanship, and this definitely falls into that. Now, as far as the lower parts kits are concerned, the LPKs are made by Schmidt Tool, another great manufacturer, a good choice on their part. You'll find that when it comes to some of these other parts, Sons of Liberty Gunworks is using some parts from very excellent and reputable manufacturers. There's a lot to be said about not trying to reinvent the wheel and sometimes using parts that are just well made as opposed to trying to do your own. Sometimes it doesn't work very well. So I can definitely appreciate the fact that they use those parts. As far as the bolt and bolt carrier group, they are made by Carpenter Tool, so it's 158 alloy for the bolt, and then for the bolt carrier, it is 8620. Excellent materials, precisely what I'd want from a professional hard-duty use weapon. And to be clear, these weapons are absolutely rated for duty use and for doing all that hard shit, and they definitely work for that. Now, on this particular rifle, I haven't had the chance to put as many rounds through it. I've done maybe At this point, 1,500, it was all in one day. This thing saw quite a few rounds, but it ran fine. It definitely needed oil, about 1,000 rounds in, just like any other rifle would. But as far as my experience, my other Sons of Liberty Gunworks rifle has perhaps 8,000 rounds on it at this point with no failures. So these rifles are very well built. I definitely put them in the top tier manufacturers, along with Bravo Company and Triarch and a couple of other well-respected, Radian, a couple other Knights Armament, a couple other well-respected manufacturers out there. They're definitely doing wonderful things. So a lot to be said for that. I'm running here on the back, so I am running the Radian charging handle. If you know anything about me, you know I'm a huge fan of Radian. They make some excellent products, and I love their safeties and their charging handles. This is the SL. I've been trying to make them rename it to the small SMOL charging handle. They haven't done it yet, but I feel like with a little bit more pressure, they might just get angry and never talk to me again. So let's keep trying for it. So moving down on our low receiver right here, we have a Voltor A5 receiver extension. So, Marine Corps, stay with me for a second here. This is going to get a little complicated. Air Force talk coming at you. Essentially what you're doing is you're taking a rifle length spring and you're putting it into a rifle that is not a rifle length gas system. So these buffers and these springs are tuned to work with mid-length or carbine length gas systems, this one being a mid-length. So what that allows for is a very smooth, very steady, longer recoil impulse, which allows it to dissipate over a longer period. And then also you don't get as much bolt bounce. You have a lot less of everything that goes along with those lighter and shorter recoil springs that you get from carbine length buffer systems or that type of thing. What that allows for is greater parts longevity. A lot of great stuff comes along with the Voltor A5 system, and I've been a fan of it for a long time. Now in this particular case, I'm using the A5H2 on my particular rifle build right here, and that was tuned with this rifle with the specific barrel length, the specific ammo I was using, and everything. I actually talked very closely with the armors who built this rifle for me. We actually function tested. It was really cool, and they'll do all this for you if you talk to these guys. They're very cool about custom tuning these rifles just for you. We have the suppressor?
Yeah, we can rub dead air.
Because of that, the small gas port size, along with the gas block and the A5 system and the muzzle device, makes for an incredibly smooth recoil impulse. When I'm firing this thing on full auto, like I talked about before, it just hovers in place. When I'm firing it on semi, it's just not moving. It's very pleasant to shoot. Probably one of the more pleasant guns, definitely on par with many of the high-end guns I've shot, and softer than some of them. I'm not going to state specifics. We'll do a larger comparison in the future here. But that's pretty incredible for one, because I'm running a 13.7. So I'm running a shorter barrel length than like a 14.5 or 16. That's typical that I'm comparing this with. So you're getting a just ridiculously nice, very reliable system with everything that they put together here. Talking more about the lower, I'm using a Magpul K2 grip, one of my favorites, very shallow grip angle. You know, I'm a fan of those right there. And of course we have our trigger. So like we always do, let's go ahead and ghost that trigger. So we're gonna go ahead and cycle that a couple times, and we're gonna go ahead and feel this. This one is a full auto trigger with a lightened spring that they custom tuned just for me because they love me. They'll do that for you too. If you're a law enforcement, military, civilians, I wish to God we could get full autos better, more easily. But fortunately that time is not yet. We can hope in the future that perhaps legislation will change. Be active on that type of stuff. That's as political as we'll get in this video. But for now, go ahead and ghost that trigger with it. Get your fingers right over mine. Play a little Unchained Melody. Go ahead, we'll take a moment so you can play that at the same time. And let's feel this. So we have no take up. Very nice, very nice. Okay, no take up. Okay, about 4 pounds right there, 5. About 6 pounds on the pull. Very crisp, easy, nice let off, very easy. All right, and where's the reset? That's right, there is no reset. Okay, because it's full auto, everybody. So let's check the semi-auto. Okay. Same, about 6 pound, single stage, crisp let off, very nice for a military type trigger. That reset, Nice, crisp, short. Feels great, gentlemen and ladies and everybody else. Feels very nice. So the trigger is very nice, definitely better than mil-spec. Not anything like a Geisley or anything like those, but for a mil-spec trigger, if you're required to have a trigger pull of a certain weight, depending on that type of stuff, or if you prefer it for a variety of reasons, definitely an excellent trigger that's coming from Sons of Liberty Gun Works. In the bottom of the K2 grip, I have a different strength hammer spring in case I need to do that for hard primers or that type of stuff. It goes right in the grip right there. You can store a lot of things like Skittles or your Dignity. So yeah, you can put that right in there. We do have an LMT soft mod stock. You can just do a B5, a little cheaper, about the same thing. So stock is of course awesome. Many other great stocks out there. That's totally personal preference. I just enjoy the B5 stock slash LMT stocks. Very well made. 13.7 guns are sick. They allow you to reach out far. You can go in close with these things. They are, in my opinion, some of the most well-rounded rifles when it comes to barrel length. If you kind of want the best of both worlds, easier to travel between state lines and do that type of stuff, 13.7 is just an awesome barrel length. Not a whole lot of companies make these. Sons of Liberty Gun Works does. Many other companies do as well. Of course, we're highlighting Sons of Liberty right here. But get out there. Give yourselves a shot at looking at a 13.5 because I think that there's a lot of merits to running a 13.5 build. I know you guys are going to ask about the particular build I have right here and what's on it and why I ran everything. So let's go ahead and start from tip to butt like we do before. So I'm running an Arisaka light with Malkoff head on an Arisaka SSM mount that puts it up right close against the pec. Now the pec is an experimental one that I'm kind of checking out right now. I got this one from Blackface Tactical. It is the Purse 3. So far seems to be incredibly powerful. I'll be doing a larger review on this in the future versus other IR devices. Now I don't have a switch going off that because I can simply reach my thumb right up over top due to how thin the rail is on the Sons of Liberty Gun Works. Now from the light I have a Surefire pressure pad, both momentary and constant. Right there, so I have that pressure pad running there. I had it secured to the zip tie, took it off for a variety of reasons right now during filming. Running down here, I have the BCM CAG kinesthetic angled grip made by my father, Travis Haley. Allows me to get a nice grip and allows me to reach right over top on the pec. It makes my life very easy. To be clear, the rails also come with a QD mount. So I have the QD mount. Attached to it, I have a Slingster from Faro Concepts, one of my favorite slings out there, 2-point all day. That way you don't hit yourself in the dick. Moving back from there, I have a Calais K16i on a Scalarworks mount. Super Gucci, super expensive, but an excellent setup. Now right here on the side, I have a offset loopholed Delta Point Pro on a T-Rex Arms mount. I prefer the T-Rex Arms mount. I found it puts it at a really good angle for me. I'm going to be trying out the Arisaka in the future. Now I wanted to try it out behind the ejection port to see how it would run. Got super greasy. I'm probably going to end up moving it forward of the optic and forward of the ejection port. That way I don't have to worry about that thing just getting all jacked up. So the whole point of it, I have this rifle up and I'm ready to shoot. What I can do is if I need to shoot closer, this thing is zeroed at 50/200 yards, I can simply roll right over and I'm right to it. The rollover on the T-Rex Arms offset optic is just perfect for me. I'm a huge fan of it. They did a really good job with the precise angle and height that they had for it. What's also nice is if you're shooting offhand, weakhand, whatever the hell you want to call it, it's very easy to get a good cheek weld and look through the dot as opposed to looking through the low-powered variable optic as nice as the eye relief is on a Calais. So that is why I have it set up that way. Obviously, I have the small Raptor charging handle like we talked about before, and that is my overall setup on my Sons of Liberty Gun Works 13.7 rifle. Just an awesome build, guys. Highly recommend you check these guys out. They are some good dudes, put in some good work, and like I said before, they've been very cool about helping me the last 4 months. So we can't be more appreciative. So get out there, check out their website, and if you buy anything, tell them that Grantham sent you or something like that. Don't be weird and creepy like you guys usually are. Just kidding, you guys aren't weird and creepy. But gentlemen, ladies, everybody, including my M2 carbines and M1 carbines, thank you for watching. As cool as this rifle looks, it's not gonna matter if you don't get training, guys. Make sure you get training. This is a tool and you are what powers that tool. So make sure that you're getting out there and you're actually practicing with this stuff. Get out there and get experience. You have these great companies out there. You have Esoteric, Drew Estel with Bear Solutions, Haley Strategic, Not My Dad, Darcy, many others, Tony Cowden, Pat McNamara, all these great guys with great knowledge, ready to teach you. All you have to do is get out there and get it. So thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys very much. And as usual, you guys know I have nothing else for you. Last thing for you guys, what I wanted to say was focus on what you can change and not what you can't change. It's gonna make your lives a whole lot easier overall. It's a good way to handle stress and problems. If you've made it this far, you are one of my most dedicated fans, and I'm appreciative of you. One of the biggest ways you can support me, among all the others, is I am running a Patreon because I have demonetized my YouTube channel. The Patreon support goes directly towards me. Every 4 months, I'm picking a Patreon guy to come out, shoot with me, spend a day filming with me, having a good time. All expenses paid for by the flannel lord himself. God, that feels weird. I'm never going to say that word again. But you guys can get down there. Link's right below. If not, no biggie. I appreciate you guys watching at the very least. And I'll never forget that. Thank you for watching, guys. Take care.